preschool friends. Today we're going to start our 4th chapter book in the Magic Treehouse series. So far, Jack and Annie have visited dinosaurs, they visited a castle and saw a knight, and they went back to Egypt. So let's find out what happens in book 4. First, let's talk about the parts of our chapter book. We have our front cover, our back cover, our spine, and our title. Front cover, back cover, spine, and title. Front cover, back cover, spine, and title. Those are the parts of the book. Good job, friends. Let's look at the picture on the front of our book to see if it gives us a clue as to what this book is about. I see Jack and Annie. I see a parrot. I see pirates. And I see a big ship. I think this book is about pirates. And it is, because it's called Pirates Past Noon. And the author is Mary Pope Osborne. Remember, chapter books are books that have lots of words and only a few pictures. And they're broken up into parts called chapters. And this book has 10 chapters. Today we will read the first 2 chapters. Let's look at our book map. We're trying to find out the title of the book, who, the characters in the book, where, the setting or where it takes place, when, what time does this happen, and what happens in our book. Well, before we start, we know the parts of our book, and there's the title. So we can write the title, which is Pirates Past Noon. There, we already have our title before we've even started the book. Let's begin. Pirates Past Noon by Mary Pope Osborne. Chapter 1, Too Late. Jack stared out of his bedroom window. The rain kept falling and falling. The TV said it would stop by noon, said Annie, his 7-year-old sister. It's already past noon, said Jack. But we have to go to the treehouse, said Annie. I have a feeling the M person will be there today. Jack pushed his glasses into place and took a deep breath. He wasn't sure he was ready to meet the M person yet. The mysterious person who had put all the books in the magic treehouse. Come on, said Annie. Jack sighed. Okay, he said. You get your raincoat and boots. I'll get the medallion and the bookmark. Annie ran to get the rain gear. Jack reached into his drawer. He took out the medallion. It was gold. The letter M was engraved on it. Then he took out the bookmark. It was made of blue leather. It had the same M on it. Both M's matched the M that was on the floor of the treehouse. Jack put the medallion and the bookmark into his backpack. Then he threw in his notebook and pencil. Jack liked to take notes about important things. I got our rain stuff, called Annie. Jack picked up his pack and went downstairs. Annie was waiting by the back door. She was putting on her boots. Meet you outside, she said. Jack pulled on his raincoat and boots. Then he put on his backpack and joined her. The wind was blowing hard. Ready, set, go, shouted Annie. They kept their heads down and charged into the rainy wind. Soon they were in the Frog Creek woods. Tree branches swayed, flinging rainwater everywhere. Yuck, said Annie. They splashed through the puddles until they came to the tallest oak tree in the woods. They looked up. Tucked between two branches was the treehouse. It looked dark and lonely against the stormy sky. Hanging from the treehouse was a rope ladder. It was blowing in the wind. Jack thought of all the books up there. He hoped they weren't getting wet. "The in-person's been there," said Annie. Jack caught his breath. "How can you tell?" he said. "I can feel it," she whispered. She grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack followed. Inside the treehouse, it was chilly and damp, but the books were all dry. They were all neatly stacked along the wall, just the way they had been the day before. Annie picked up a castle book on top of one stack. It had taken them to the time of castles. "Remember the night?" she said. Jack nodded. He would never forget that knight who had helped them. Annie put down the castle book. She picked up the next book on the stack. It was the dinosaur book that had taken them to the time of the dinosaurs. "Remember?" she said. Jack nodded. He'd never forget the pterodon who had saved them from the T-Rex. Then Annie held up the book about ancient Egypt. "Meow," she said. Jack smiled. The Egypt book had taken them to the time of the pyramids. A black cat had come to their rescue there. "And here's the book about home," Annie said. She held up the book with a picture of their hometown in it, Frog Creek, Pennsylvania. Jack smiled again. The Pennsylvania book had brought them back home at the end of each of their adventures. Jack sighed. Okay. He still had two main questions. Who was the in-person who had put all the books here? And did the knight, the pterodon, and the cat all know the in-person? Finally, Jack reached into his backpack. He took out the golden medallion and the leather bookmark. He placed them on the floor, right over the spot where the M glowed faintly in the wood. Rain blew into the treehouse. "Brr," said Annie. "It's not very cozy today." Jack agreed with her. It was too wet and cold. "Look," Annie pointed to a book open, lying in the corner. "I don't remember a book being opened." "Me neither," said Jack. Annie picked up the book. She stared at the picture on the page. "Wow, this place looks great." She showed Jack the picture. He saw a sunny beach, a green parrot sitting on a palm tree, and a ship sailing on the blue sea. Another gust of rainy wind blew into the treehouse. Annie pointed to the picture. "I wish we were there instead of here," she said. "Yeah," said Jack, "but where is there?" "Too late," came a squawk. Jack and Annie turned quickly. Sitting on a branch outside the window on the treehouse ledge was a green parrot, exactly like the parrot in the picture. "Too late," squawked the parrot again. "A talking parrot," said Annie. "Is your name Polly? Can I call you Polly?" Suddenly, the wind started to whistle. "Oh no, now we're in big trouble," said Jack. The wind blew harder, the leaves shook, the treehouse started to spin faster and faster. Jack squeezed his eyes shut. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Jack opened his eyes. "Too late," squawked Polly. Chapter 2, The Bright Blue Sea. Jack felt hot sunlight streaming into the treehouse. He smelled salt water. He heard the sound of waves. He and Annie looked out the window. The treehouse was in a palm tree. Beyond was a bright blue sea. A tall sailing ship was on the horizon. It was just like the picture in the book. "Too late," squawked Polly. "Look," said Annie. Polly was flying in circles above the treehouse. She swooped down to the ocean. "Come on, let's follow her. Let's go in the water," said Annie. She took off her raincoat and dropped it on the floor. "Wait, we have to study the book first," said Jack. He started to reach for the book, but Annie grabbed it. "You can read it on the beach," she said. Without even looking at the cover, she shoved the book in Jack's backpack. He sighed. Actually, the water did look wonderful. Okay, said Jack. He took off his raincoat too. Come on! Annie handed Jack his backpack, then started down the ladder. Jack folded the raincoat and put it next to the stack of books. He put on his backpack. Then he went down the ladder. As soon as Annie hit the sand, she ran toward the ocean. Jack watched her wade in the water. She was still wearing her rain boots. Your boots, Annie, called Jack. She shrugged. They'll dry out, she said. Jack took off his boots and socks. He put them beside his pack. Then he rolled up his jeans. He ran across the hot sand and into the waves. The water was warm and clear. Jack could see shells and tiny fishes. He shielded his eyes against the sun and peered out at the sea. The tall sailing ship seemed a bit closer. Where's Polly? Said Annie. Jack glanced around. No sign of Polly, not in the palm trees, not on the sunlit sand, not over the bright sea. When Jack looked out at the sea again, the ship seemed even closer. Now Jack could see its flag. As he stared at the ship's flag, a chill went through him. The flag was black, with a skull and crossbones. Oh man, he breathed. He started out of the water. What's wrong? Said Annie. She splashed after him. Jack ran to his backpack. Annie followed. He grabbed the book from the backpack. He looked at the cover. For the first time, he and Annie read the title of the book. Yikes, said Annie. Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack read out loud. And that's the end of chapter 2. So it looks like Jack and Annie went to the time of pirates. We'll have to find out what happens. But so far we know our title, Pirates Past Noon. And now we know our characters. We have Jack, Annie, and we have a parrot. Where our book has taken place, we started out in the woods. And now Jack and Annie are on a beach. So we'll have to keep reading the book to find out what happens next. I'll see you guys tomorrow and we'll pick up on chapter 3. Bye, friends.